You may sometimes may go home and throw up in the face of your mate. But I bet Pastor Dollar don't treat Sister Taffy like that. And then your husband like, I am so tired of Pastor Dollar. I go to church, Pastor Dollar. Get in my car, tapes, Pastor Dollar. Come home, video, Pastor Dollar. Turn my radio on, Pastor Dollar. And then we can't even have a decent argument. And guess who you bring up? Pastor Dollar. I don't like Pastor Dollar right now. And then you get me in trouble. Man want to bust me upside my head. I ain't did nothing to brother. You getting me set up to get whipped. I had a brother come to my office one time. He said, how you doing, Pastor Dollar? I'm just so sick and tired of hearing your name in my house. I thought, dear God, I'm going to have to whoop a boy at 8 o'clock in the morning. Dear Jesus. Don't do that. Don't put pressure on your husband like that. Because God made him to be the best individual he can be for the Lord. It will be a very boring world if everybody's like Pastor Dollar. Follow me as I follow Christ in the things of the Word of God. But don't try to become me. Understand what I'm saying? Become what I live and what I represent. And whatever rubs off on you, you bound to, we hanging around, we gonna rub off. You can't help that. But at the same time, don't take it overboard. You understand what I'm saying? Deal with the issue in the hand. Don't throw my name in there. Some of you men do it too. I bet Sister Taffy doesn't talk back to her husband like this. And your wife get fed up. Well, look here, I am not Sister Taffy. And then you walking by rolling your eyes at my wife, and I'm wondering what's wrong with you. Turn to your neighbor and say, is he talking about you? Don't answer. Don't do that. I made that mistake. I learned from that mistake. Don't do it. Don't do it. The power of apology. I've been expecting too much from you. It was unfair for me to think you could read my mind. I made that mistake too. I assumed that when I couldn't communicate properly, that my wife was supposed to figure out what I meant. And then when I came home and did not get the results of what I wanted to communicate, I got upset with her because she didn't read minds. You can't do that. You have to learn how to communicate. And communication is not just talking. Communication is speaking and then gaining an understanding that what you have said has been received by the hearer like you meant for it to be heard. I didn't communicate clearly. I'm sorry, I misled you. I finally got to that point where I said, that is my fault. I did not communicate to you. And I had a tendency of talking about one subject and switching to another subject right in the middle of one subject. You can't do that. Can't do that. Can't do that. And you got to be willing to apologize. There's power that goes with apology. Imagine if your mate came to you and they said, you just had a big blowout about the money that you told them to spend for groceries, but you did kind of give them permission to buy some clothes. And when they came home, they had like, 2 pieces of bread and some potato chips. And the rest of it clothes. Well, you didn't make yourself clear about how much, either. Imagine though if you came in with that conflict, you had a big blow up, and he came back to you and he said, sweetheart, I love you and I'm very committed to this marriage. I know it can be better, but I want to first of all apologize for misleading you and not communicating properly to you concerning about what you should have bought. It really upset me, but I need to be upset with me because I've got to start communicating a lot better. Now, what would you do? Oh, baby. That's all right. Come here, sugar. She say, what? Get yourself on over here. Yeah, you can solve them a lot quicker. But as long as you're competing to see who can stay on top and who has the upper hand, then you're never going to get anywhere as far as construction is concerned. Third thing you do in that area of the peace conference, express your hurt instead of your hostility. Express your hurt instead of your hostility. Now, I can't help but to put a little bit on my little psychological hat because it's just true anyway. Dealing with the area of hurt and learning how to express it. Hurt is a legitimate response to disappointment or any offense. When you're offended, when offenses come and you're disappointed and things don't work out like you planned, the natural thing that happens usually is hurt. Hurt should be dealt with and discussed so that it won't stay inside and turn into anger. When you refuse to deal with hurt and you keep hurt in, something's happened. And my wife used to be guilty of this. I would do something, she would get disappointed and hurt over it. And as a result of it, she would keep it in, and I'd say, Taffy, what's wrong? Nothing. And I'm like, Taffy, what's wrong? I said nothing. I'm like, really? And the more she held it in, the more it developed into anger. You must learn how to deal with your hurts. Letting hurts accumulate, it'll also cause anger. You've got to get used to dealing with your hurts one at a time. We got conditioned to a point in our marriage where we wanted to deal, when things were bothering us and we were a little moody or something, we had to identify immediately the cause of that change of attitude. Once we could identify what it was that caused it, we dealt with it, got it out, and we're no longer being conducted or being governed by those things on the outside. Letting hurts accumulate will cause anger, and you've got to deal with those hurts and grievances as they arrive. Anger is always a secondary emotion. If spouses back up to what preceded it, they will often find that it was hurt that preceded the anger. Anger is always a secondary. And think about it. You just didn't jump angry. You know, it's always a secondary emotion. If they reveal the hurt, they will weaken the walls that separate them. And as you begin to talk about those things that hurt, those things that, you said that may have hurt, those things that you may have demonstrated that may have hurt, then you weaken the walls of anger and conflict because you're verbalizing this hurt. This hurt me. Can I share the time where you went over Sean's house, stayed there for a long time? I didn't know where you were in the situation that came up. Well, since I already said it, I might well go and finish. It's something that you'll really benefit from as far as the area of insensitivity is concerned. You really don't know how to be sensitive until you learn areas of insensitivities. And sometimes you mess up and you're insensitive because you don't know those areas of insensitive. Well, I had an aunt that a while back who was kidnapped, who was murdered. It really bothered me. She was found in the trunk of a car, and I hadn't, always been kind of skeptical about my wife. Make sure I know where you are, and at least if anything happened, at least I know where you went and I know where to start from or something, And this is before I learned anything the air of soteria and confessing the things. Like every day now, I confess that my family is a family that's without tragedy, and I confess that the church is out of debt forever. I guess have things I say every day. But back then, she went out. She said she was going to the store. Well, she went to the store, but she just happened to be near her cousin's house. So she went to the store and she went to her cousin's house. Meanwhile, I'm thinking, what's taking so long to get back from the store? Because ladies don't ever go somewhere else without picking the phone up and calling. That can give an open door to a whole lot of things. Well, she didn't, and it was going on 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 12:30, I'm sitting in the bed. Steam coming out of my ears. My curls stood up into an afro. I am ready for a fight. I'm cocked and ready to go. And you know how you tell yourself, you're going to be calm, I'm going to be calm, I'm going to be calm. She walked in the door, lights off. I said, where have you been? She jumped. I said, where have you been? And you know, you give them ready to give her the talk. No, where have you been? I want you to understand why I feel the way I feel. I had a situation that happened in my life where a woman went out and she never returned, and the next time they found her, she was in the trunk of the car dead. She said, oh God, I didn't know that. Please forgive me. It'll never happen again. But when she said that, I didn't have anything else to argue with. Is that scripture? Yes. A soft answer curbs wrath. I learned 2 lessons that day. She learned lessons as well. First of all, the importance of communicating continuously concerning who I am and what I've gone through, so that it will develop in that individual the ability to be sensitive about certain things that concern me. Secondly, for her to recognize, and for me to recognize that Jesus said, I go to prepare a place for you, and where I am, you shall be also. Jesus never went anywhere without letting the church know where he was. And gentlemen, it's your responsibility to let your wife know where you are. But wives, it is your responsibility to let your husbands know where you are. You guys ought to know where you are all of the time. You understand what I'm saying? You don't know when you're going to need to get in contact with one another. You don't want to give place to the devil, for the devil to start putting things in your head. Well, you know, where you been this time of night? And stuff like that. Communication is so very, very important. So express the hurt. I expressed my hurt. When I expressed that hurt, it came out. It was dealt with. That was it. But if I'd have held on to that hurt to the next morning, like I've done with some things, I've held on to some hurts until the next morning, I couldn't sleep all night long. There were times I'd turn over and grit my teeth. Then sit up in the bed and just look at her like, talking to me like that. I work hard, I feed you. Bought you that dress last week, you gonna talk to me like that. Get out the bed, walk around, get some water. To mess my sleep up. And the only thing I had to do was talk about this thing for, see, I let the sun go down on my wrath. Are y'all hearing what I'm saying? Number 4 in this peace thing. I want to try to finish this tonight if you don't mind. I got about 2 more. Make direct statements. Hints and offhand remarks accomplish nothing. How you feeling, baby? What you think? No. Make direct statements. We must say what we mean. Number 5. Make the phrase, I feel, a part of the statements that you make when you get ready to apologize. Now, this is what I mean. Many peace plans are sabotaged by your statements of accusation that antagonizes the spouse and often terminates the peace process before it even starts. For example, you don't help around the house. You spend too much time at work. You don't know how to handle money. You're insensitive. Well, that's a direct attack at me. And I'm like, what you mean? You see how that can cause retaliation? But now watch when you use the words I feel. I feel overwhelmed by household activities. Instead of, you don't help around the house. Sweetheart, I'm feeling a little overwhelmed with the work that's going on around here. Oh, immediately you think, oh, okay. It still don't do nothing. You're sorry. Or instead of saying you spend too much time at work, I feel left out of your life because of work. You see the different approach, which allows me to go on to the next stage of communication? Instead of saying you don't know how to handle money, I feel frustrated about how our money is being handled. Those 2 words, I feel, will put you in a much better position to continue the peace talk